Hello, Matt Eaton here, and welcome to the Totally Content podcast. During the recent Henry Stewart Dam LA conference, Elisabeth bumped into Christian Wahlberg, technical product manager at Keen Footwear. Christian kindly agreed to be interviewed and appear on our podcast, but there was just way too much great content for a single episode. So we've split it into two. You're going to hear part one, where we talk to Christian about implementing DAM and PIM. Here's the interview.
Hi guys, nice to see you today. So Matt, I'm very excited because I managed to get Christian Wahlberg from Keen to join us in our podcast for today. So Christian, Matt, here you go.
Hey Christian.
Great to meet you. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure to get to know Elisabeth a little bit, and happy to meet you as well, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. So Christian, everybody knows us very, very well. Not really. But would you be so kind and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I am currently employed by a company called Keen Footwear. They are based in Portland, Oregon, which is where I live. And I've been with Keen for the last 3 years or so. I got hired on to help implement a PIM system, product information management, which I'm sure you guys know about and perhaps your listeners as well. But prior to that, I'd been working for Columbia Sportswear, working with their digital asset management system for about 7 years. And so, yeah, I've got kind of a combined 10 years-ish of DAM and PIM experience, and it's been a ride. I like the name of your podcast, Totally Content or Totally Content. I listened to one of your first podcasts, and just kind of fun to think about. All right, yeah, am I totally content in being with totally content? So
yeah, that is actually our aim, to make people totally content, but we know it is a struggle to get things going, and also because of the technology and the evolving constantly, it's really difficult to keep up. And then on the other end, like you said, you're working at Keen, so you have a business to take care of as well.
Yes, definitely.
So let the interrogation start. And,
let's do it.
Yeah. So first of all, do you remember when you came on board? Both goes for Columbia maybe, and even for Keen. What specific business needs were there to start implementing a PIM and a DAM?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll speak to Keen because that's more fresh in my memory. For Keen bringing on the PIM that we needed, it was a number of things that were kind of driving us to that point. We had several different channels, retailers that we were working with that required very specific formats of our data. So places like Amazon, even our own e-commerce site, working with other bigger retailers within the US. And we had gotten to a point where I like to call we were growing out of our spreadsheet pants. You know, you have all this product data that's stored in spreadsheets, and it's spread across the company, and it gets really difficult to manage that content if you don't have a single source of truth. And so the Keen team here, before I was brought on, started to see that need and kind of build out a team. And then I got brought on, and it's not just having a system, but it's also all the processes around it. And having a system helps you build those processes and workflows so that you can actually deliver the content in the right format to whoever your channels or retailers are. I remember when I got brought on being surprised, but maybe I shouldn't have been too surprised, that our wholesale reps were writing their own copy for their accounts because the workflows were so backward. Our copy team wasn't able to write the content that was needed, so it fell on the wholesale reps. And there were things like that I was just kind of astounded by, but maybe I shouldn't be surprised being in this space. I'm sure that happens at other companies.
In all honesty, it happens everywhere, and you get surprises every day. It's very unfortunate.
I really like what you said about progressing off of spreadsheets. so many companies depend on spreadsheets as part of their content supply chain. I helped a broadcaster where they had, I think, about 400 spreadsheets in their content supply chain. And, if you don't do something about it, it just gets worse and worse. So, yeah, that really resonated with me.
Yes, they can
And
be
how did
wonderful tools, but they can start doing things that they're not meant to do. Yep.
how did you manage to get people to move away from the spreadsheet? Because I personally, I find that extremely difficult and challenging because people
Yes.
are so used to their spreadsheet and rely on their spreadsheet. And millions of dollars go through spreadsheets nowadays. So how do you then
Mhm.
let go of the spreadsheet? Move away
Yeah.
from the spreadsheet and
It is.
let them go into a PIM, because not every PIM looks like a spreadsheet. So
Yes.
how do you do that transition?
Yes, definitely. It is the same, I think, with many different projects that you'll take on. If people don't see a vision of what things could be in the future, of how they can actually help them to do their job more efficiently, or to give them more time back, or allow them to have more clarity on what they actually have for content and what is needed, then they're not going to want to do it. I had the benefit of some before me kind of sowing seeds of, hey, this is actually going to help us going forward. And I think a big part was seeing the need themselves. So I remember meeting with stakeholders across the company who would be using the new PIM that we were going to implement, and asking them first, what is working well and what pain points do you have? And I think when people feel heard, they're more willing to listen to what is the picture that you're trying to paint for us, that we actually want to be a part of this process, and be willing to do things that might feel uncomfortable, and getting rid of some of the spreadsheets or using them in a different way. But I think if you're able to listen to who you're trying to implement for, that will go a long way in getting those people who are maybe the squeaky wheels and complaining a lot to start to be your biggest advocates as you get further down the road.
Yeah, I like that carrot as opposed to the stick. I've used both, and I think the stick helps where you've got some really obvious kind of errors that have happened that have been caused by so many spreadsheets. People have got mixed up or delivered late, or the wrong message has gone out to the wrong place. But you've got to combine it with that kind of, actually it's all going to be better. This is the vision, rather than
It is
yeah.
hard to convince people that that will be the case. But if you can do things incrementally, I think they'll start to see, oh yeah, I'm starting to see the benefits. One of the things that I did probably a year or two after the initial implementation is I took all the data that I had gathered in the initial workshops of understanding, hey, how long is it taking you today? How many hours are you spending with this process? What's the dollar amount behind this? How many styles are you having to go through? What's the timing that we're late on? And go back and take that information and then compare it to where we were at the point where I was creating this report. And it was astounding just to see all the time and the processes that were condensed to save people so much. And I think it was helpful for me. I don't know if it was helpful for anybody else, but it was helpful for me to see, oh, actually this has been worth it. We've got something good out of this product.
And I think it's also interesting, because I recognize this very well, is that especially in such a condensed processes and all sorts of workflows, people do not know that their neighbor is spending a lot of time redoing the stuff that they did or doing the same thing that they did. So
Yes.
there's a disconnect. So when you bring that all together in your kind of business case with your parameters, then it also starts creating an awareness that the problem is actually bigger than just my problem or your problem. So yeah, I find that extremely well done. Really
Yeah.
good.
Well, hindsight can be 20/20. In the midst of it, it was very painful. But I do remember coming out of meetings and people saying to me, we've been waiting 5, 10 years for that meeting to happen, for those people to be in the same room together, because you get so bogged down with what you need to do. Your
Yes.
information and your processes get siloed. And if you
Yes.
don't talk to other people, either upstream or downstream in the process, you forget how that is impacting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people are, we're talking about systems processes, but actually fundamentally it's communication, isn't it? And let's actually speak to each other, and sometimes the systems and processes can be the cause for that communication breakdown, I think. Especially spreadsheets, and I find that there are people that create spreadsheets that hang on to that data, and then they become, actually they will become your super users of the future if they get on board. But at the time, it's really tough to kind of let let go of that and say, no, let's spread it out.
Yes. Yeah. Change management and communication are kind of the foundations of any project, especially a new system implementation.
What do you see as being the main benefits for having a PIM and a DAM?
I think that, as we've talked a little bit about this already, the benefits around the time saved is the experience of those who are using it. That's going to be the main benefit. But I think that you can tie some of these things to revenue as well. It takes a little bit more work, but when you consider, revenue lost when you don't have the correct images, or when you have not protected your brand, potential of like lawsuits for incorrect information going out there, the potential of the speed to market. One of the things that we were dealing with before we had the PIM was others setting up products on Amazon before we got our product information up there. And if you don't get your information up there first, some other third party can control the listing. And so they say what your product is and what it's about rather than you. And, that certainly can be tied to revenue. What I've done at Keen is try to tie the benefits back to what Keen's values are, because every company is going to be different. Every company needs to make money to stay in business. But for Keen, we're all about consciously created. We're all about doing more good in the world. And so when I went through and I kind of took all those things that we had at the beginning and then compared them to the metrics that we had at the end, I tried to convey it in a way that told the company, hey, we're increasing productivity so that keeners, that's what we call our employees, keeners, can have a better work-life balance, so they're not spending hours and hours and hours of overtime trying to get our product out onto the market. And then we make our fans happier, which is what we call our customers, our fans. And if they're enjoying our product more, that gives us more time and ability then to do more good, both us and our customers, our fans. And being able to kind of convey it in a way that resonates with us internally and with those who buy our product, I think those are the benefits that I try to put forward as I'm implementing. And revenue and things like that are needed, but that's not necessarily the first focus of what's talked about internally. And so I guess those are some of the things. And it's that internal component of the time, and then the external component of, hey, we put out a great product that people want to buy, and they can trust the data that we have. They can trust that the image that they see or the video that they see on the site is going to be the same great pair of shoes that they get in the box when it's delivered to their house, and then close that loop when they leave a great review and they say, hey, I love my Keens. And I think those are the benefits that you get if you can tie it to those things, from a good PIM and a good DAM.
I think it's the first time ever that I heard someone as a content creator to tie it back to the company values. I love it. I think it's fantastic, because I think that's where it needs to sit. Of course, the main driver is not making money; it's making a difference, isn't it? And I also love it that it's not only about making the world a better place, but you started your own keeners who go home happy. Because I've seen loads of processes, and I've seen loads of org charts where I can tell you up front who's going home crying. So I love that is actually a value of the organization, and that you can achieve that by using technology. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So that was part one of the interview with Christian. In part two, we talk about metadata, AI, and we ask Christian, what would he do if he could change one thing to be totally content with his DAM and PIM? Thanks for listening.